Okay, well yours looks a little bit different than mine. Most of them are, well, the popular one is this one, but yours looks like it has a little bit different cylinders. And what this is, there is a larger piston in here, and attached to the center of that piston is a smaller diameter piston, and the cylinder for it is up here. So your larger piston down here is your low pressure, and it'll take your air coming in from, where does it come in? I think it comes in somewhere around here. And no, it comes in right here. So comes in our low pressure and piston, and our low pressure piston pumps it into our high pressure piston, where it gets pumped again. Hang on. Sorry about that. Everybody around here is really helpful. They always want to come up and knock on my door and want to do something for me. They're so damn helpful. Anyway, the arrangement in here is you got the bigger piston and then the smaller piston top center, and they both move up and down at the same time. And this is the low pressure side, gets the pumps the air from the low pressure piston into the high pressure piston, and then it goes out to here. And you've got a similar arrangement. It looks like you've got some water fittings, like more standard plumbing fittings in yours. That is for water cooling. Let's see. And I made this to just hook up to a garden hose, and then just turn it on a little bit and let it run through, so it'll go through, goes in here and then comes up through here, and then it cools it. And I just run a total loss. Just get a little trickle going through it. Some people try to run them through radiators and whatnot. If you run one of these pumps for more than 20 minutes, you need to shut it down regardless and let it cool off. But anyway, you'll have some of these pumps have a shut-off regulator, and you can dial this in to whatever pressure you want to stop it at. Your standard aluminum paintball bottles go up to 3,000 psi, and the carbon fiber ones go up to 4,500 psi. And I like to look at the gauge on my paintball tanks and just kind of cross-reference this when I'm looking at it, because running one of these things is pretty damn scary. It is for me. I mean, they make a lot of racket, and you're dealing with 4,500 psi, and they will pump higher than that, but no thank you. As far as oil, what we do for oil, it calls for like number 40 hydraulic oil, but that stuff is junk. What you want to do is, if that's a new compressor, you want to run it for like 5 minutes the first time, or just go ahead and change the oil in it if you don't know what it is. Go to your hardware store and get a high quality air compressor oil, and you want to run it in here. Well, this one, it looks like you got the exact same crankcase, so I don't know if you've got this sticker on there, but being the same crankcase, it should be the same oil level. And yeah, you just want to run some good high quality compressor oil. There's no bearing in here. It's just like a, gosh, I don't even know if there's a bronze bearing in there, but in the beginning these things do take some breaking in. And so after you run it the first time, you want to drain the oil and have a good look at it. Maybe save some and compare it to it after you run it the first time. And because what happens is as you get metal into your oil, your high pressure piston up here can get, they say there's no lubricant, but lubrication does get up here from down there, and you don't want dirty oil getting up in here, because on this high pressure piston you've got these seals. You got 3 or 4 seals. You can get replacements for them on AliExpress, but you really don't want to have to tear into this thing. And the cleaner you keep your oil, the less metallic fragments you're going to get on these rings, and the longer they're going to last. This is a little water jacket here, but yeah, yours is a little bit different than mine, but that's going to be the basic setup for all of these. So when you get ready to pump, what you want to do is go ahead and you probably got something like this. A filter goes in here. Don't think you can just put regular cotton in here. I've just been using the same one over and over again, keeping that side towards that, and then screw that on. Don't have to screw it on really tight or anything, just to where that seal gets, like that, and let the seal do the work. If you were to try to use cotton, like a cotton ball, what would happen is periodically when you run one of these, you want to bleed the pressure off to get rid of the water that it gets in there. You'll get a lot of water from compressing oil, and you don't really want that water in your paintball tank, especially if you got a Chinese regulator, because the Chinese regulators are made out, I've seen them use high carbon steel parts in them, and they will lock up one of those cheap regulators. Now, if you're running like a Ninja regulator, they use stainless steel and brass. You're not going to have any problem with water, but still, you don't want water going through your guns or whatnot. So there's 2 places on this one where you can bleed off air, and I'll generally bleed this one off once during the run, and I'll open this up about every 1,000 psi. And then when you reach your target pressure, what you want to do is just turn it off, and then you can go ahead and bleed it here, and that'll take the pressure off your line, and then you're good to go. Now your bottle's got to be warm from it filling up rather quickly. If you let it cool down, the pressure inside it will drop down a little bit. Just something to be aware of. This is a burst disc. It will pop as a safety measure. Like if you were to go past 4,500, at some point this would blow to keep the other stuff from blowing up. There might be spares that you have of these. As I remember, if you take this out, the actual disc looks like a black powder cap, as I remember, a little tiny thing that goes in there. It might look like that, or it might just be a regular disc, just a little disc sheet of copper. And if you want to fill up, if you want to top off something, and let's say for any reason that you had to stop filling it, you shut it off while it was filling up. You generally always want to release the pressure before you turn it off. This is what I don't like about the ones that let you dial in the pressure to have it stop, because it'll electrically disconnect the compressor once it reaches a certain pressure, and then without bleeding anything, and everything just seizes up. So it's always good to release your pressure before you stop it. But if you ever forget that and you stop it with the pressure on it. You go to fire it back up, you just go to turn it on, it's probably going to throw a breaker because you need to get that motor moving before you put all that load on it. So just open that up, fire it up, and then close it back down. That is pretty much it, unless you run into problems. I can't say enough about keeping that oil clean. That goes the longest way to the life of one of these things. This is my second one. It might be my first one. I've got two of them that, you know, I kind of swap parts out on. I was really using the dog out of these at one point. I was shooting like 4 90 cubic inch paintball, 90 cubic inch 4500 psi paintball bottles in one day, back when I was trying to get the BB machine guns up to like 4,000 rounds a minute. But yeah, that should be enough to get you started, and like I say, you can just hit me up if you have any other questions. Later.